Welcome into the Feminine Flex. I'm your host, Monica Mecca. Today we're joined with Sam Thomas. Welcome in. Happy to have you on here. So you are currently in prep for your second show.
Yes.
And what division do you compete in?
I am a NPC bikini competitor.
Okay. And how long ago was your last show?
My last show was in November. It was the first weekend or second weekend of November. And I only did one last season.
Okay. Nice. And you're bikini then too?
Yes.
Nice. When is your show?
Honestly, right now, me and my coach are still deciding between two shows. We're looking at doing a national level show this time around, which is really exciting. My first show, I was nationally qualified because I got first in my open class. So we're just sending it and doing a national show, but we're not really sure
Yeah.
which one we're gonna do yet. So it just really depends on when I'm ready.
Up in the air. That's a huge accomplishment though. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, can you dive a little bit on background on you, like what got you into this sport?
Honestly, I feel like my journey kind of starts back at COVID. When COVID hit, all of the gyms around my town were shutting down. My best friend worked at a smaller gym, and that one was still open. So he kind of introduced me to working out because I like never lifted. I was always one of those girls where it was like, I don't know, I hate cardio, I hate lifting, like just not my thing. I don't want to move. I never really did any sports growing up. But I had recently been broken up with at the time, so I was like,
Mhm.
I just like need to do something. And like with COVID hitting, it was just like, well, there's nothing really else to do, so I might as well give it a shot. And my best friend kind of showed me the ropes of basic lifts and beginner things. And then I really started to enjoy it. So I started working out at his gym. And then I don't know, I just kept working out there and I started getting pretty good at lifting. And I also met my boyfriend at that gym because he also worked there. So when I started seeing kind of my boyfriend's side of things, he had a coach for the longest time. And I kind of saw like his meal plans and his lifts and everything, and I would kind of try some things out here and there. Um, so I think it was 2022, March 2022 is when I really decided like I feel like I have the lifting down. Now I want someone to help me on like the nutrition side of things. So I hired the coach that he's with, and I've been with him ever since. But after living that lifestyle, like the meal plan, looking at macros and that kind of thing, I realized that bodybuilding was something that I actually really wanted to do. So yeah, it just kind of all worked out. It just kind of snowballed into me wanting to step on stage.
Fell into place.
Yeah.
That's so funny because I feel like that's a lot of gym girly stories nowadays where it's usually their significant other that like drags them into the gym.
Yeah.
And so that's my story definitely too. My husband was one who like he was like, let's lift. Yeah. And also what you're talking about is the nutrition being the second aspect that you learn. I feel like that's a big trend that you see as well.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
Hmm.
in 2020, I feel like that was kind of the era of like smoothie bowls and
Oh,
like
definitely.
nut butter on everything and like chocolate chips. And it's just like now that I know so much about nutrition, it's kind of crazy like how much of a surplus I was eating all of the time. And like
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've liked my body in every stage that I've been in, but just having the knowledge now has just been kind of eye-opening to me.
Oh, I know many women who undergo the same thing where it's these foods are healthy, and
Honest-
then you realize how much of a surplus you're eating in.
Yeah.
So, how would you say your relationship is with food overall now?
I think I mean, it definitely is better, especially now that I am so educated. It's also like I feel like I have a lot of people in my life, like family members who have always struggled with losing weight and they kind of ask me questions and bounce ideas off of me. And it's just crazy to think like a lot of those myths that I used to believe now are kind of like really crazy in hindsight, like carbs are bad, like the
Mm-hmm.
main one is like if someone wants to lose weight, like carbs are the first thing to be cut. But now that I know so much about macronutrients, it's like you should still be eating carbs.
That is your energy source.
Yeah, yeah, so, like, all of those little myths are just crazy that, like, those are things that are so normalized still, but I also think, like, being a bodybuilder and being so calculated, sometimes it's hard to not see food in such a calculated way as well, um,
Mhm.
I it's sometimes hard to go off plan and be like, "Just enjoy it," because sometimes you're always thinking in the back of my head, like, is this going against or towards my goals? But at the end,
Mhm.
like, you should be able to enjoy food too, so that's something that I'm
Def
definitely still working on, but
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be I don't think that happens overnight. Like,
yeah.
that's a progressive journey.
Mhm.
Currently in your plan right now, do you have a cheat meal since you don't have, like, a 12-week out date, you know? Like
Right now, what's nice about this prep too is, like, I have a lot more time, and we also
Mhm.
know how my body responds to things. Last time was kinda just
Me
like,
too.
let's see what happens. So I don't currently my coach doesn't do, like, cheat days or cheat meals or anything like that. I'm on a meal plan, but, what we're doing right now is we're trying to get us to a certain weight, and then we're gonna do a maintenance break. So I
Mm,
don't really know what that is gonna look like, so I'm excited to see what happens, but I think it's probably just gonna be kind of like a refeed like what we did in my last prep where it's my normal foods that I'm eating, just a little bit more of it, but I guess
mm.
we'll see. I know, like, because my boyfriend has him as a coach too, he's definitely given my boyfriend, like, cheat meals and things like that, but obviously me and my boyfriend, like, lose weight and gain weight way differently, so I
So,
I don't really see that in my journey, but we'll see.
yeah, I never heard of, I guess, a maintenance break,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'd like an extended refeed
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
What would you say right now the biggest difference is between your last prep and this one that you're undergoing right now?
Yeah, I think it's mostly just knowing my body better. A lot of stuff in my last prep was kind of discovered at the last, like, 8 to 6 weeks out, which is kinda scary because that's kind of the time where, like, you wanna be almost ready. Um, my body just did not respond at the beginning of my first prep. It was really frustrating.
Ooh.
We realized that we had to get a little bit more aggressive to see change in the scale. So, I mean, now we know that, but, yeah, I think the difference now is, like, having that background knowledge, but also having more time to play around with things like maintenance breaks and seeing, like, if there's if we can do a refeed for a longer amount of time, will my body respond well, or do I just
Mhm.
keep it low for a while?
Sure. You also mentioned, your family likes some of, like, the nuances, like, the
Uh-huh.
ways they think. But I'm assuming none of them have any background in bodybuilding, know nothing really
Nope.
about it.
Nope.
How do they take you undergoing these challenges now?
They're actually super supportive. I was a little nervous because I actually come from a background of disordered eating, and we could talk about that too.
Mhm.
But seeing me, like, grow, I think is something that they've really enjoyed seeing the process of, and they're really proud of, which is really nice. They see all of my posts too, which is really nice.
Oh.
But yeah, they came to my first show, and my dad especially is someone who is a very competitive person. So, like, growing up, me and my brother did all performing things, like, we're both singers, so we did show
Nice.
choir and all of that. So he
Mhm.
was, like, the guy that was screaming the loudest in the audience. So when I
Oh,
did
that's so
my
cool.
that was the first time where he saw me, like, on stage in a different way. So I think he kinda got really into it. Like, he just gets really into the things that we do, so it's been cool to see them supportive about it.
That's awesome. That's a great support system
Yeah.
then.
Even though it's extreme, like, I think they understand that it's extreme, but I think they trust that I, kind of know what I'm doing, and they trust that my coach knows what he's doing. They've seen the extreme side of it for sure, but they also see, like, the reverse that I had in getting myself back to a healthy, maintainable weight. So, I think now that they've seen all sides of it, I don't think they were ever, like, unsupportive of it, but I'm sure it was
Consent.
yeah, I'm sure it was probably a little scary to see me, like, get lean.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're not used to seeing that on you. That's I could see how a concerned parent would just want the best for their kid.
Yeah.
When you underwent your reverse diet,
Mhm.
did you how was that for you? Was it like a pretty good reverse diet or was it like did you crash hard?
I honestly, like, I think for prep and reverse, I was almost, like, over prepared. Like, I was on social media all the time, like, even before I started my prep, kinda seeing everyone else's journey. So I feel like I kinda prepared myself for the worst side of prep and reverse, that it helped me nail it. I didn't have any, like, binges or any, like, bad periods of time where I just, like, went off the wall, during my reverse, which I feel like I can contribute that to, like, just other people's experiences.
Mhm.
I think I had the mindset going into it, like, I want this to be long term, and I want to set myself up for long-term success. So, like, I might be miserable right now, and I might have a lot of food noise, but if I just stick to the plan, it'll set me up for long-term success.
Sure.
But yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
noise was loud for sure, but
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the hardest part for from everybody I've talked to is just trying to not let it like the last lady I just talked to, she was like, "I could consume so much,
Mhm.
like everything in front of me."
Yeah. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
crazy. It's like your eyes are bigger than your stomach kinda thing, like, when you go to
Mhm.
a buffet, it's the same way, like, you spend all of this time on such low food, and now the date that you were looking at is over, the show day is done, and now you don't really have an end goal. Like,
Mhm.
you do, but you don't have a date for it, so I think that's where a lot of people go wrong in the reverse is like, "Well, I don't really have a date coming up soon that I'm preparing for, so" and now I'm not to these strict guidelines anymore,
Mhm.
so I can kinda do whatever I want, and you can, but it can get bad fast.
Sure. Yeah, when you were, coming off, did you already kind of have an expectation in your mind that you wanted to do to hop on stage again or
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I knew that I wanted to keep going. I also wasn't sure, like, my first season if I was gonna do a show after the November, because there's that December national show. So I was like, that could work, but I wasn't really sure. I guess you could technically count right now as still my first year because it my first show was in November, but I don't really know
Yeah.
how it works. But yeah, I think I always knew that I wanted to keep going. Especially like after the really, really hard days of prep. Once I got through those days, I realized that I could do anything. So I was like, well, I'm kind of locked in at this point.
Yeah. Is your goal ultimately to go pro? Like, are you trying to aim for that pro card?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Which
That's exciting.
I don't wanna put any expectations out there, especially for my first one, but, I mean, I think for me, that's the ultimate goal, but this first one, like, if it happens, it happens, that would be really cool and kinda crazy, but I
Mhm.
think, going into it, it's really just, like, what is the feedback gonna be? How can I get better? And what's the best that I can do on that day?
Sure. I mean, like already you're having these incredible steps that's leading you to that way. So I'd say you're pretty paved for success,
Thank
like where you're going. What is your favorite part so far of this whole sport, this whole journey that you've experienced?
I think just seeing how much I've changed. Um, I mean, I feel like it's kind of cliche, but a lot of people like talk about their why in the sport and just saying how much character it builds, but it really does. Like you
Mhm.
really don't know that it does until you're in it. Um, I mean, I like I said, I prepared myself for the worst, but I really didn't know what it was like until I was in it. And I remember like the days that hit really, really hard where I thought that I wasn't gonna be able to do it, but I picked myself up and I kept going. Um, I don't know. I think that's like the biggest thing for me is like, looking back on those days versus my show
Mhm.
day, it's like show day is, like, all glitz and glam, like, you did it, but you didn't do it until you got through those days.
Mhm.
My favorite part is I mean, it's not fun to go through the hard days, but it's
So
cool to see yourself, like, get through it.
Yeah, like you can look back and be like the discipline that I've learned
Yeah.
through all of this. Like you know that you're stronger than those mental hard days.
Yeah.
What was your original why then, since you brought that up?
I mean, I think it was that, like, I feel like I hadn't had much that I had, like, really achieved, I guess? I don't know, like, I was looking for something more in
Hmm.
my, like, fitness journey, and it was kind of weird because looking back, I realized I had followed a lot of bodybuilders for a long time, and, like, when I first followed them, it wasn't because I wanted to look like them. I was like, "I don't know, that's too muscular, like, I feel like that's not really my vibe." I really liked their work ethic, and just, like, everything that they stood for, and then once I hired my coach, he's a bodybuilder, and I realized that once I lived the lifestyle of, like, tracking my macros, sticking to a meal plan, sticking to cardio and training and everything, and just being consistent, that it was actually something that I could do. So it
Hmm.
kinda just happened. I woke up one day and was like, "I think I wanna step on stage, and I think I can do it." Yeah.
Yeah, just like seeing that unfold too.
Mhm.
Have you or has your coach ever, I mean, have you talked about potential use of peds or anything in that sort of nature?
Yeah, it's I am natural, and I
Hmm.
plan to stay natural for a while. I don't think that it's out of the question for me, but right now it really just isn't the time. Him and I have gone back and forth about it a few times, but I think I right now, where I'm at in my prep, I feel like I don't wanna take that leap yet,
Yeah,
especially because this is only my 2nd prep, and it's been so different already that I think this prep and my success in my reverse has set me up, to do even better this time around, even as a natural athlete, so it's not out of the question, but I think right now I'm good being natural. I'm also
yeah.
like I said, I'm a singer, I'm actually a teacher, so I teach choir, and my voice especially
Oh,
I am very protective of. So,
yeah,
that's been something that's really, like, kept me to stay the natural route too.
sure.
Um,
But I mean, even I guess peptides would fall under
Mhm.
that peds, but wouldn't
Yeah.
I don't think those have as harsh effects.
Yeah,
But
I don't know, yeah, I've definitely done my research on it, and I think people have different opinions on everything, but yeah,
definitely.
like, I have seen, like, the peptide route, some people think is not enhanced, but some people think is enhanced, so I don't
Mhm.
know, I mean, they have similar effects too, but yeah.
What are your overall thoughts on just the usage of peds in general?
I mean, I think that people have the freedom and autonomy to do whatever they wanna do.
Mhm.
I also think, like, in this sport, it really isn't something that's taboo. I think it can still be taboo because, I mean, it isn't legal, so I think that's probably why it's still kind of not talked about or very underground.
Mhm.
But I mean, in the sport, like, it's not an uncommon thing. Um, and
Yeah,
I think a lot of natural athletes, like, genetically are very gifted, and I still have seen, like, some of those athletes go the enhanced route, and, like, I mean, everyone's on their own journey, so I'm not
definitely.
one to judge anyone. I think that if they wanna stay natural, that's great, and if they don't want to, I think that's great too, so
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day too, it doesn't take away from the work that's put into it.
exactly,
So I think
yeah.
it's a very big misconception there.
Yeah, there's a lot of women that I follow, especially one in particular that talks very openly about she's newly enhanced, and I
Mhm.
just, like, get so mad when I see comments that discredit her work when
Yeah.
she's newly enhanced and she's shown her journey as a natural competitor, and she grew so much naturally that people still blame it on enhancements, and it's just like
Well, and you if you look at those people too, it's never the bodybuilders who are saying
Mhm.
these.
Yep.
It's the people who have no idea anything about the sport.
The birth
Yeah,
counts or the people that don't obviously don't compete, but yeah.
right, exactly. So, like competitors like that, don't take those comments to heart.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there are some that obviously it's gonna get to them at a certain point.
Sure.
But I think those that are in the community and are involved in the sport are the ones that are supportive and, like, understand that it's a performance enhancing drug. So it's like, it's not just a magic pill that's gonna you're gonna wake up and be jacked or lean. Like, you still have to put in the work, but it it is going to help. It's going to make things a little bit easier for, like, your recovery or leaning out depending on what you're taking. So, like, it helps, but you can't just do nothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that I've talked about this before, but something I was really shocked at is when I just started getting into researching bodybuilding, I saw these, I mean, beautiful women, but not realizing how many were enhanced,
Yeah.
because you have this idea of what enhanced looks like, and it's not like the typical, like it's not like a bikini body in my head. It
Yeah.
wasn't like the bikini fitness category. It was always like more, some of the more jacked girls.
Yeah.
So when you find out these things, I think it's like shocking. Well, to
Mhm.
me, it was shocking because it's not really that transparent in the sport, which is something I wish would be
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
There's someone that I follow who talks about that a lot, and I mean, I think because it is illegal, like, that's why some people don't talk about it, or, like, a lot of people that do this sport also have 9 to 5s, so that's another thing too. Um,
Yeah.
but I think, like, the the ones that are enhanced, you kind of know are enhanced. Usually it's the people that are saying that, like, they're a natural competitor, like, those are the ones that are natural because they put it in, like, their bio, or, like, they, like, promote it a lot.
Hmm.
Usually, like, a lot of the times, the ones that aren't saying that they are or they're not are enhanced.
Hmm.
And I think that's kind of, like, those in the community kinda know it, they just don't really, like, need them to say it, I think, but yeah,
Sure.
it's definitely something that, like, I think is starting to be talked about more, which is good. But I think it could also be something that's a little bit dangerous, especially, like, just from where I'm from. Like, I see a lot of, like, my students and a lot of, like, the kids that I teach, or, like, the kids that are in high school that are starting to get into bodybuilding, which is really good. But I think that they want to take the enhanced route a little too early. So
Oh yeah.
little
That
yeah, when
yeah.
I think it's good that people are educated about it, but sometimes it can get a little, um, I don't know, like, the information can be a little bit too accessible for some people.
Sure. Yeah, and then it's kind of the point of where's the balance, where
Yeah.
it's just providing information versus influencing. Because you're right, there is this surge of a lot more younger people
Mm,
popping on,
yeah,
and I think it's like we can kind of chalk that up to more of the influencer types who are like, hey, this is the route to go,
yeah,
and these very young impressionable people are like hopping on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I follow someone who, like, is very obviously and openly enhanced, but she doesn't give her protocol, which I think is the right way to go. Like,
Hmm.
she's not steering anyone, um, I guess, like, into an assumption that she did everything naturally. Um,
Hmm.
so I think it's good that she's open that she's not natural, but I also think it's the safe and smart route to not give her specific protocol, because especially, like,
Yeah.
everyone is so different that, like, even if I looked exactly like her before she was enhanced and did the exact same protocol as her, I probably would react differently and would look differently. So I think it's smart that she's doing that. And I think that just encouraging people to get a coach that's knowledgeable in those kinds of things, if that's the route that they want to go, um,
Yeah.
is the best thing to do.
Like having somebody knowledgeable actually
Yeah.
guiding you through it.
Yeah.
Totally, totally agree. Yeah, I like that concept that you're saying that she does, that because that is like great, providing transparency without influencing.
Yeah.
So, hopping over, you did mention a little bit about some of like growing up with like kind of relationship with food and disordered eating. Can you talk a little bit more? Are you willing to talk a little bit more about that?
Honestly, I feel like my story is a little bit uncommon. I think if I go to the root of it all, it really wasn't like a bad relationship with food. It was more so a control thing for me. Um, a lot of my mental health background, I feel like a lot of it stemmed around like not feeling good enough for people. And so like I found happiness in dating a lot of people. So a lot of my happiness fell on my relationships with my boyfriends in the past. And so when those relationships ended, I wanted to feel some sort of sense of control in my life. So I think that's kind of where disordered eating came into play. It first started when I was a freshman in college, and I had always been like a really, really small girl. My I was just always really, really skinny, no matter how much I ate. Um, but when I realized that I could control, I guess, my emotions or just, I don't know, my relationships by restricting food, that's kind of like when it started to spiral a little bit for a few years. So I was hospitalized a couple times for that. I just, I don't know. It was just the way that I dealt mentally with those breakups. Um, but then I don't know. I think that a lot of my healthy relationships revolved around eating and like being with family and friends and going out to eat and that kind of thing. So it just kind of like naturally healed itself. But I was definitely really, really, really small when I started my journey. But I just like look back to those pictures and see how much I've built. And now it's just like a no-brainer that I would never want to go back to that
Mhm.
point. And I was a little nervous at first starting competing because like you do restrict food. Um, but I mean, I've obviously, like, healed mentally a lot. So, like, I
Which
don't
is a huge aspect of it.
yeah, like, I don't really view, like, the restriction in that, like, negative way anymore, but I was a little nervous, like, doing a prep because I knew I wasn't gonna be eating a lot, and I was a little nervous that it would, like, trigger those kinds of, like, past feelings, but it didn't because I think that the sport has been so positive that it
Mhm.
just really hasn't done any of that. So,
That's great.
thanks.
That's a big journey that you've gone through though, from being hospitalized from that to now your great relationship with food that you have. But that's incredible and just a good story to put out there.
Yeah,
Like
thank you.
people can grow. Yeah. And I'm sure looking back at those pictures that you're seeing, you're looking at, there's
Mhm.
like some level of compassion for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Like growing for my past self, just seeing those pictures, like I just, it's very sad, obviously, but it's also, it's cool to see like how far I've come.
Mhm.
So I think that that's another kind of like why with my bodybuilding is like helping those people or just like being a vision for my past self, being able to like have a good relationship with food and being able to be a healthy version of myself. Um, yeah, that's been really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because you never know who's watching your story, who has gone through something similar to you, or who you're inspiring, you
Yeah,
know?
it's cool too because like I've heard similar stories too now that I've like been following all of these bodybuilders. My posing coach actually like has a very similar story to me. So I think that's like why I connected with her um in a deeper way. Like our stories are very similar. So,
That's great.
yeah.
That's awesome. So posing coach, I'm really jumping gears. So you
Yeah.
have two different coaches
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, so my coach I work with all the time. Um he gives me my workouts and my diet, my meal plan. And
Hmm.
he also does like my cardio and just like pretty much everything I do is with my actual coach. But then I knew that I could pose, but I wasn't sure. Everyone talks about like finding the poses that fit best with your physique. So I
Hmm.
think that's like I wanted to hire someone to be like another set of eyes, to kind of like show them, here's what I know so far, like help me tweak it. So she's like my posing coach, but I basically just hire her for different FaceTime sessions and just like tweaking things here and there. So it's not like a consistent thing like my actual coach, but yeah, she's been working with me ever since my last prep. So
So did you have her in your last prep then, or is this
yeah.
like completely new? I think I've heard the benefits of a posing coach, and I know
Mhm.
if I would probably need one too.
Yeah. I
It's
definitely
all
recommend it. Even if it's just like a couple sessions here and there, like it's really cool to see the difference of how you started and then just having a different set of eyes to tell you like, okay, maybe put your foot here instead of where you're at, or just different like cues too. Like there's been different things that she's told me that I always think about when I'm posing, so that like it's good to practice without a mirror too, because when you're on stage you won't be able to see yourself. So
hmm.
having those little cues in your head to remind yourself of like what it feels like have been really helpful.
Yeah, because you're right. I guess you don't even think about that.
Hmm.
At least I know I wouldn't if somebody didn't tell me that you
Yeah.
don't have a mirror, you can't see
Yeah.
yourself. Here are your cues.
Yeah. Yeah. The muscle memory is a little bit difficult. I'm still working on it. I think I mean, especially at the end of prep, like I'm posing a lot more frequently. But this prep I wanted to start posing even earlier so that I could get the
Hmm.
muscle memory down, because I definitely felt in my last prep like once I was posing without a mirror, I was like, okay, like second guessing myself, questioning if I'm doing it right or if it looks the same way when I'm in front of a mirror versus when I'm not. So that's kind of what I'm pushing myself towards this time.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like fine tweaking those little things.
Yeah.
How would you say your overall physical wellness was when you were at your last show, like show day? Did you like lose your menstrual cycle? Did you have a lot of fatigue? Did you just like, yeah, all of it?
I feel like when I was probably 8 weeks out is when it really started to hit me. And I think that's when we started to realize like I really needed a push to see
Hmm.
myself lose body fat. Um, I went into prep needing to lose about 30 pounds of fat, which is kind of a lot. So at that point on is kind of when the fatigue was really, really overwhelming for me. My food was very low for a long time. My cardio was very high for a long time. So I did lose my cycle. That was kind of something that I was expecting anyways, just with like hearing everyone's story, but mine has
Hmm.
never been like a normal one anyways with being on birth control.
Hmm.
So at first when I did lose it, I thought that it was just like from my birth control. But then after a few more months of not having it, I was like, okay, it's gone. So yes, that did happen. My reverse did bring it back for a little bit. I am not sure if right now if I'm at the point where I'm losing it again or not, so I guess we'll see, but yeah, that definitely is something that happens. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, just the leanness that you get to, it really does affect you, and I was prepared, but, like, I had never felt that before. So, yeah, there were just a lot of things that were kinda jumped out at me all at once.
Yeah, 8 weeks out to already have that. That's longer than you normally hear of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I can only imagine now how lean you were when
yeah,
you were popped on stage.
yeah.
How would you say post show your hormones felt? Like, were you kind of back on balance? Were you monitoring your blood work through this as
Yeah,
well?
actually, I was monitoring my blood work, like, right before I entered prep. It's sometimes hard for me to get in and get my blood work done, but that's definitely something that I, have noticed has been something that's helpful for me, just, like, knowing that information about my body. I got blood work done before my first prep too, and things looked pretty good. Even though, like, I'm definitely someone that has had some, like, hormone issues just, like, genetically, but starting to actually, like, eat whole foods and lifting and moving my body regularly, I think helped hormonally. Um, But yes, I did get blood work done before this starting this prep, and everything looked really, really good, which is awesome. I wasn't really sure, especially with like losing my cycle and everything, like if things were back to normal. Usually the rule of thumb that I've heard from other people is however long you prep, that's at least how long your reverse should take to get your
Mm,
hormones back. Mine was shorter than that, so that's why I was a little bit like, I probably should get blood work done just to be safe, but everything looked good. So I think for me hormonally, like my next step would be toying around with the idea of not being on birth control. A lot of people talk about how helpful it is, especially in the support in this sport, to not be on birth control. And just like in
that's
general,
fair.
like I think birth control is pushed on women a lot. Um, so I would like
Definitely.
to. It is like a little bit scary for me, just because I went on birth control because of how bad my cycles were.
Hmm.
So I'd be curious to see if like it went back to that, but it's something that I have in the back of my mind that might may or may not be in my future. We'll see.
You're right, though. Birth control is so pushed on women, especially from an early age,
Yeah.
where you are like, I think we're just settling into our hormones in our bodies, and I really think that that should be talked about more.
Well, it's really nice too because like my coach has even talked about it too, like how not great it is for women in the sport. And
Mhm.
when the first time I told him how long I've been on birth control, because I started when I was in sixth grade, I think, sixth or seventh grade, and I've been on hormonal birth control ever since, and I'm 26. So it's been a long time. And I told him,
Yeah,
and he like kind of freaked out a little bit. He was like, "That's insane." So yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
That is a very long time, but like, of course, it makes sense for in the sport why it's so affecting everything. Well, it
yeah.
affects everything in your body, but you even think about men popping on testosterone that helps them,
Mhm.
which is not fair. It's like a miracle
Yeah.
drug for them, but like, of course, flooding your system with more hormones is going to
Mhm.
affect your body and your body
Right.
appearance and function and everything about it.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
well, yeah, and, like, losing body fat, like, I mean, women getting to stage lean, like, you're not meant to be that lean. So, like,
mhm,
hormonally, that's already a lot, but then having birth control on top of that is just so much for your body to even, like, try to process all at once. So, it's definitely difficult, but yeah.
how would you say bodybuilding has affected your social life?
Oh, that's something that I still want to work on this time around. My boyfriend and I actually moved away from our hometown 2 years ago for my teaching. So
Mm,
that's already been something socially that's been hard is like as young adults finding new friends in a new state, while
yes.
also maintaining the friendships that we have in our hometown. So we do our best to go home frequently, and it's definitely hard during prep to travel. Like if you saw our car, like we load our car up because I have to stay on plan. Like I have to pack everything that I need, and I have a rabbit too. She's been hanging out. So yeah, just like being prepared and making sure that I'm still on track while being able to go home and visit or, like, being able to hang out with friends is definitely a challenge, but I think that's also another part that, like, I've seen myself grow a lot with,
Hmm.
is, like, not making everything so, like, food focused all the time. I'm not great at it, especially in prep, but that's an area that I am continuously working on, because I mean, like when we see our friends, obviously everyone's going to be like eating or like going out. So I don't want to isolate myself because I know that those social interactions and just being with people that I love are things that are going to fill my cup in ways that like I can't get from like eating off plan or anything right now. So yeah, that and then just like the gym has been a really good outlet, obviously, like as a bodybuilder.
Hmm.
But like being in a new state, it's been cool to make friends at the gym still. We actually just joined a sand volleyball league coming up, so that's gonna be really fun. Something to do
That's
like act with friends and stuff, so that'll be really fun. Um,
yeah.
yeah, like I definitely like It's been nice. The people and the friends that I've made at the gym here too have been super supportive of my preps and things. One person in particular that I have been friends with for the last year or so, and she's like seen me go through this prep. She's really, really understanding when I have those hard days that I can just text her and be like, "Hey, like we normally yap all the time and like my gym sessions will take like 3 to 4 hours because we will just like talk a lot, but like today I just really can't right now. Like I'm so drained and she is so supportive of that. So I'm just really thankful that I have good like support systems to make
Yeah.
social interactions not so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, having people who also understand exactly what it takes and what you are going through makes an incredible amount of difference.
Yeah.
So it's great. Do your friends back at home, are any of them gym people or bodybuilders, or are
Nope.
you just the very foreign one to them?
Well, so my best friend that got me into the gym is still very much like an active person, like lifts a lot, runs a lot. The like social life, him and I are very different on, but the friend group that I have with my boyfriend's friends and like their significant others, none of them are like gym people, but it's been cool to like answer questions that they've had for me or like there have been little challenges that we've all done where like we all try to lose like weight or like they're all like trying to lose weight and things and I'm just like I'm doing that all the time but like it's fun to see you guys do it too. So I mean, yeah, not really, but the friends that we have in our new state that we moved in are all pretty much like from the gym because that's really the only other place that we go besides work and home.
Yeah.
So like those people are definitely our gym friends, which is it's cool to have like that like-mindedness here.
Yeah. How would you say making friends in the gym is? Because I feel like approaching people in the gym just for like just friendly interaction that feels so foreign.
Yeah, yeah, it's scary because sometimes, like, you don't know if that's the vibe or not. The really good friend that I've made, in the past year or so that I've been here, her and I, like I mean, I think all of the friends that we've made, we all just, like, ended up going to the gym at the same time every day, so it's like, we all see each other, and we're kinda like, "Okay, you're, like, around my age." Maybe you're cool. Like, you seem cool. Like, I don't know. But she approached me like in mid set and was like, hey, like, I've seen you like every day for the last year, and I just feel like we would vibe. And so from there, her and I became friends, and then her boyfriend and my boyfriend became friends, and then we would kind of group up, and then other people would see us group up and then feel like they could approach us. So I think like it kind of just like more people have added on into our friend group. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
no,
That's great.
it's been a little easier than I thought it was gonna be, especially as someone who is like a young adult. I feel like when you move, like that's something that's so hard is like you have your friends growing up or like from your hometown. So then going to a new place, it's like, am I going to find anyone that I'm friends with? Or is it I mean, it's cool if it's just me and my boyfriend, but like we like to hang out with other people too. So
Of course. No,
yeah.
I definitely think like that's a good challenge for any younger person to just branch out to experience those different things. My husband and I, when we were before we were married, we moved across country and had to do the same thing essentially, like flourish and didn't know anybody there, had to
Mhm.
find your people and
Yeah.
you find your group, but it definitely is daunting and it's hard.
Yeah, for sure.
As your goal, okay, you because you're obviously wanting to go pro. Are you sticking with fitness as a hobby or are you trying to make this more of a professional goal?
Ugh, I go back and forth about that a lot, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, I really love like posting about everything on all of my socials. Like I think it's so fun to just like document the journey and like just post it. Like if people care, they care, but if people don't care, it's like whatever. Like they'll see it and they'll just ignore it. But like over the past few years, especially like as I've started bodybuilding, a lot of people that I would never have expected to like swipe up on my story or DM me about things like have reached out and been like, how do you do it? And like asking me just so many questions about just my journey and everything that I'm like, oh, it would be kind of cool to coach people, but I I don't know. I just go back and forth because like I love my job now, but I also love fitness to the point where I could see myself doing it, like monetizing off of it, I guess. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It's very up in the air about like there's so many possibilities.
So coaching might be in your future.
I could see it. I could see it. Especially like my coach. I've only had one coach this whole time. And he has been like the hugest green flag. Like I feel like a lot of people post about like red flags in coaching. And it makes
Yes.
me really sad, but it's also like I'm grateful that like I've never experienced any of that before. But like
Mhm.
every check-in that I've had, like even when I wasn't like one of his competitor clients, when I was back as like a lifestyle client, he just gave me so much knowledge about like why he's changing my meal plan or why he's changing my lifts or like just different reasons on like why he's changing my protocol and what the goal is for that like
Mhm.
from a science-based perspective. So that's been really cool to learn about my different protocol throughout the year and just like how I respond to it too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been like really cool. Like I'm like, oh, I do have a lot of knowledge, but
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, about your coach and like if you've had a bad experience, but the way you were talking about your coach just seems so positive. I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I don't think you've had a bad experience with
Oh,
your coach."
luckily, I'm really glad because I feel like that's just like such a norm. I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of people find their coaches through social media, which is great. Like it's a great place to promote things. But I think sometimes coaches don't really see like the long-term vision for their clients or like long-term in the sport, but also long-term with their health. I see a lot
Mhm.
of like packages nowadays from like social media
Mhm.
coaches that are like 10 weeks. Like I'm gonna
Yep.
you and then it's like they're kind of like on their own when it comes to the reverse, and I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. So I'm really grateful that I found my coach the way that I found him. It
Mhm.
wasn't just like a cash grab that I feel like a lot of other coaches have.
Yeah. I've heard the stories of women especially trying to hop on, even just like Anavar or
Yeah.
being pushed that, and it ends up being a drug, some bigger steroid that they weren't expecting because their coach was like, "Here, take this," and they obviously have that trust with the coach
Mhm.
just to be screwed over like that.
Yeah. Or like not being knowledgeable about like the PE protocol that their coaches are giving them. And then like I've seen TikToks recently where like people review things that well-known coaches have given other people in the past and it's insane. Like they
Mhm.
didn't know and they just had like the trust in their coach.
Yeah, when you get a coach, you expect them to be the knowledgeable leader that's just gonna take you through that,
Yeah.
and to not have that second guess
Mhm.
is something you'd expect,
Yeah.
but well, it was great having you on here. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for chatting.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, please everybody go follow my girl Sam.
Uh,
I'll be linking her all her socials in the description, so just go check her out, and show her some love, especially for this next competition coming up. Let's
yeah, I'll be
go.
posting a lot about it, so I'll be pretty insufferable.
We're ready to see it.
Yes.
Bye. Thanks for watching.